And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly fantastic day today. So the Come and Talk to Me podcast with Mark Jackson and his son, I really enjoy that podcast because both schools are represented, the new school and the old school, and I really enjoy it because they have a lot of old school NBA players on there, and they always ask questions, whether it's about the GOAT debate or comparing the eras, and it's good to hear the different insight, the different perspective of a lot of the old school players. I feel like especially for the younger generation to understand where the old school players are coming from, or especially if you are a young person who's actually attempting to get some knowledge on the subject and not be educated by the likes of Nick Wright and people like that, it's really good. And so the latest person that I've seen that I was checking out yesterday is Mugsy Bogues. And we all know Mugsy Bogues spent most of his career with the Charlotte Hornets. And I think was a great player, was a great defensive player, especially for someone that height. And I think we all would have to agree that it takes an exceptional talent to make it into the NBA at 5'3". I'm pretty sure he was 5'3", 5'2", 5'3". So yeah, they had Mugsy Bogues on, and of course they asked him about the GOAT debate. And Mark Jackson's son, who does think the deer is the GOAT, had a kind of a back and forth with him. But I think Mugsy Bogues pretty much shut down this conversation. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into this clip.
Who? I said, what do you consider as the GOAT?
Oh, to me, I'm very straightforward with my guidelines. So to me, LeBron hits all of the stats. If you are statistically doing it for this long of a time, I think that it's unfair to be like a dude that did it for a shorter amount of time just because he didn't lose in the finals is better. I can't agree with that.
Well, I just think, he stayed healthier than everybody, played longer than everybody, so he was able to accumulate those numbers. If guys who would have stayed longer, they might have accumulated those numbers as well. Some guys that took a little time off and then came back and played. But my thing is,
and we're going to hold up here before we let this clip continue. I want to stop right there. And to me, again, whenever you're dealing with people who are in the circle, who are in the NBA fraternity and, in that group, probably have friends in the mainstream media, friends with other players, there's going to be a certain amount of cap or a certain amount of ignoring the truth. So, when Mugsy Bogues said, oh, well, he was able to stay healthy and, if other players would have been able to play that long, they essentially would be able to do the same thing, LeBron James. And that's absolutely true. But I have yet to hear, and I don't know if we'll ever hear a player actually come out and say, well, look, he's not playing, he hadn't played over like 65 games in the last 5 years or so. I'm not sure how many he played last season, but I know at least when last season started, like the previous 5 years, he hadn't played over like 65 games. And then the other thing is we will never hear anyone mention, I don't believe, like I said, who's in that circle of people, who's a former player or a current player or, someone in the media or associated with people in the media, we'll never hear them come out and say, well, look, the guy stopped playing defense. And there may have been I'm trying to think if I've heard anybody actually bring out this point. But yeah, I don't think so. So yeah, while Mugsy is correct, yeah, absolutely. The longevity thing is absolutely, again, it's just that's great. You can be the GOAT of longevity. Even though, again, to me, LeBron James' longevity is of poor quality. It's poor quality longevity. It's not made up of quality time on the court. It's not made up of him being a two-way player for the entire duration of his career. It's not made up of him not benefiting from the fact that they've made the game easier on top of that. The game is not as physical. So, yes, you have so many benefits to the modern NBA to actually be able to play longer. So, again, to me, just the longevity argument in itself isn't that great of a feat when you take into consideration all the factors that has aided in him being able to have that longevity, on top of the fact that the allegations still has never been addressed by LeBron James, even though everybody or a lot of people around LeBron James' circle has been documented as being on the juice. So, but anyway, let's continue.
Do LeBron have a deficiency?
Yes. Yeah.
And what is that?
I would say it's more than one thing.
Okay, there's more than okay. I would just leave it at that. It's more than one thing. What is MJ's deficiency?
I would say that MJ's deficiency, and nobody ever wants to talk about it. We torched Kobe for his selfish plays because we watched it firsthand all at the same time, and there was social media. So we could say, yo, he shot over 5 people and there's a dude in the corner. We don't say that for Michael Jordan because we don't see all of the game footage right away. But that's a deficiency to me, that he won't make the right play at certain times.
But that's not a deficiency. That's not a skill set. That's not a skill set. That's just a decision, a choice that he made because he feel like he can accomplish on 5 or 3 guys that's playing if he can still be successful. What I'm saying is
that's a fair point.
All right, and so you hear the next part. Mark Jackson's son, tried to do the thing where they accuse Kobe and Jordan of being a ball hog, and again, one of the differences I've said between Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant is the fact that Michael Jordan just in general had better shot selection than Kobe Bryant. But again, the whole notion of the ball hog thing is like, no, it's not ball hogging when you are efficient at what you do. And here's the thing. The funny thing is why Kobe gets this label, I would say probably Kobe more so than anybody. But again, Michael Jordan got the label too, and especially modern day fanboys and members of the CFL love to try and use this against Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant by saying they were a ball hog because they would shoot over 2 and 3 people. How about this? Why don't we hear that about Stephen Curry, who will come down and step over half court and launch a 3? We don't hear that about Steph Curry. I mean, think about it. Steph Curry, I mean, the ideal of just coming a couple of steps past half court and just launching a 3. But he doesn't get that label of taking bad shots, basically, of refusing to pass. And here's the thing. If we're just talking about, yes, Steph Curry is arguably the greatest three-point shooter in the history of the game, arguably. However, his field goal percentage is 47.3%. Michael Jordan's field goal percentage, especially during the Chicago Bulls years, it was like 51 point something percent. His Wizards years is what dropped it to just below 50%. But during Chicago, it was over 51%. So how is that if you don't consider Steph Curry launching threes from half court a bad shot, why would you consider MJ shooting over 2 defenders when there's plenty of evidence that he is successful at it? Why would people consider that a bad shot? Fanboys, that's a question for you. Why would you consider that a bad shot? If you don't consider Steph Curry launching a three, to me, if that's the case, anytime LeBron James launches a three, it should be considered a bad shot. Due to LeBron James' clutch stats, anytime he takes a last shot, it should be considered a bad shot. Because his clutch stats are horrible. So yeah, that whole notion of, and again, it's like Mugsy Bogues said, that is not a skill-related thing. That is Michael Jordan feeling like making a decision that, hey, I think I'm the best option over 2 people or 3 people, then some of my teammates would be left wide open. And this is a fact because everybody handles pressure differently. We all know players, in the town where I stay, college basketball, college sports is big. And when I came up playing, there were times where the college players would come out to the courts, or we would go to the courts where the college players were. And the funny thing was, there were players who would be on the court who sucked in games. Couldn't hit a shot to save their life. But when they were playing with us, they couldn't miss. Couldn't miss. Why is that? Because everybody handles pressure differently. This is what separates the clutch from the unclutch. On top of having the skill set, everybody just handles pressure differently. So some people, you see them in practice and they can't miss, but then they get in the game and they can't hit a shot to save their life. Some people, again, I say some people, they may be great in 3 quarters, but when it gets to that 4th quarter, they're not dependable. So yes, Michael Jordan feeling like, hey, yeah, I'm the best option over 2 or 3 people, especially in certain scenarios, is absolutely right. And like I said, if you don't find fault with Steph Curry, who will step right over the half court line and launch a 3-pointer, I'm not sure if I was saying half court a few minutes ago. But yeah, if you don't find fault in Steph Curry, who will step past half court and launch a 3-pointer, there is no way you should find fault with Michael Jordan shooting over 2 people. Because Michael Jordan's field goal percentage, we're not talking about 3-point percentage, just his overall field goal percentage is better than Steph Curry's. But anyway, let's continue.
LeBron can't shoot free throws. Well, I don't say. Let me take it. I'm not saying that he can't shoot free throws. He's not a great free throw shooter. I love LeBron. I mean, I really love LeBron James. I love what LeBron stands for. I love what LeBron has done with his basketball career. How he's able to came in as day one and still has kept that status all the way through to his 21 years or how many years he's played without any blemish on his record. I love it. And what he has done in the community and uplift his people that are around him, that is beyond remarkable. But when it comes to the game of basketball and the skill set of the game of basketball, that's where it separates from a guy like LJ and a guy like LeBron in terms of the skill set. Michael had no deficiency fundamentally. He was one of the most fundamentally sound guys that ever played the game. And athletic-wise, I mean, hey, that's in the class of his own. So that's why when I say about guys, and MJ always hasn't been that way. When he was in college, he couldn't even go left. It was hard for him to go left, but he worked on that aspect of his game to the point to where that has not become a deficiency anymore. So that's what I talk about when I say skill set, when I talk about the game and, you know, how one consider himself as the top of it. You know, I look at the skill set and what they can do overall. That's where I come in.
You heard it
You
from the
broke it
Mugsy
down
Bogues
good.
show. You heard it from the Mugsy
He broke
Bogues
it
show.
down good. Nah, dog, he broke it down. He broke it down.
All right. And so this last part of the clip here, Mugsy Bogues does what anybody in that circle of people seems like they have to do anytime they're criticizing LeBron, and that's heap a bunch of praise for non-basketball related stuff before finally coming around to the point that, hey, when we're talking about basketball, LeBron James doesn't compare. And again, you know, he brought up how fundamentally sound that Michael Jordan was. You know, he brought up how Michael Jordan turned his deficiencies that he had in college into strengths. You know, he couldn't go left in college. Again, we heard Kenny Smith talk about, you know, he didn't have great handles in college. You know, his jumper wasn't as great as it became. But we saw throughout the course of Michael Jordan's career, not only did he turn those into strengths, but even at the point to where he was good at those things, we watched him continually get better and better at those things. So yeah, this is kind of the last part. And ironically, I feel like, again, that point right there really is the long and short of the conversation. That point right there is really what separates LeBron James and Michael Jordan, is the one who had the need to continuously get better, to continuously overcome obstacles, and one who didn't, one who spent his career taking shortcuts, as we all know. But anyway, yeah, I just thought Mugsy Bogues did a good job of explaining to Mark Jackson's son that, hey, look, we're talking about basketball. And if we're talking about basketball and, you know, and him bringing up, you know, LeBron James' deficiencies. You know, when he asked Mark Jackson's son, does LeBron James have any deficiencies? He said, yeah. And at least he was honest to say, you know, it's a few deficiencies. At least he was honest enough to say that. Because I feel like a lot of you fanboys out there want to pretend as if LeBron James has no deficiencies in his game, which shows you how clearly delusional you are. But at least he was honest about it and said, yeah, you know, LeBron James has a few deficiencies in his game. And this is the long and short of it, is when we're talking about how great of a basketball player you are. And then one other thing I forgot to mention that came up in the clip is that Mark Jackson's son was saying, you know, I don't think just because Michael Jordan played a shorter time and was undefeated in the finals that should justify him being over LeBron. But he's forgetting it's not just that he played a shorter time, it's that he actually accomplished more in that shorter time. I mean, even if they had the exact same accolades, again, Michael Jordan would have accomplished that in a shorter time. But the fact that Michael Jordan accomplished more in a shorter time, I'm really not sure what Mark Jackson's son was thinking. You know, it's like they ignore these facts. And I think what it really comes down to is just the fact that the goalpost has been moved is the only reason why we have these conversations at all. You know, it's the main reason why channels like this exist, because they have been continuously moving the goalposts. And so channels like this is, again, it's about, you know, trying to hold the standards in place and trying to educate the younger generation on what's really going on. But it's like, yeah, the only reason we're having these conversations is because the goalposts continue to move. Because again, The greatest of all time conversation has never been about longevity. It has never been about that. It has never been about breaking all-time records. But anyway, we gonna hold up here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What did you think of what Mugsy Bogues had to say? How did you like how Mugsy Bogues broke it down and, you know, just broke it down really to just strictly a basketball thing? One player has tons of deficiencies about his game, and the other player doesn't have any. It's really that simple. Fanboys, it's really that simple. One player has tons of deficiencies in his game, and the other does not. It's that simple. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. You all have a truly fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. All right.